I felt something in the back. I thought I saw it. I thought I was seeing things. And I saw him. And then I lost it. I pulled in. I pulled him out. And I for a few minutes, for I guess for it seemed like an eternity, but for just a few seconds, I attempted CPR. And I couldn't compose myself to do it, so there was a group there. I'm pretty sure you got all their names. And they attempted, and I saw him laying there. And he had that stare in his face. I knew he was coming.
Did you take him out of the car seat?
I did.
Okay.
I knew he was gone. And
How'd you know he was gone?
just because his eyes were open like halfway. His eyes were open halfway. He wasn't breathing. He didn't have a pulse. And every medic training I've ever gone through, told me to check for breathing, check for a pulse. He didn't have either. I knew it. I just knew he was. I knew that I had done what every parent in their life fears they've done, and that's just leave their son in the car all that night. And I was trying to frantically call the daycare and tell them, because my wife was en route to get him from the daycare where he was supposed to be. And I was going to the movie, and I was trying to frantically call the daycare and tell them, when my wife gets there, don't let her leave. There's going to be people that are going to show up.
The way that they talk about daycare is triggering to me as a daycare worker. You know what I mean?
Because I didn't want her to be. I didn't want to. Where is he?
As a daycare provider.
Talking to anybody on the phone.
We're not doing top of the hour. I already did it 12 minutes ago.
Okay. What kind of phone is it? It's an iPhone 5. Is it passcode? It is. Can I get the passcode? It's 0. I have no idea what the passcode is. Biometric.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I can't remember.
There are plenty of reasons for Harris to be less than eager for detectives to search his phone. There are many aspects of his weapon phone history that will go on to cast a cloud of suspicion over him. The big one that is especially pertinent to his phone is something that doesn't inherently implicate him as having intentionally murdered his son, but will absolutely decimate any hope he has of casting himself as a responsible church-going man who puts his family above all else. Harris is a serial philanderer with a chronic sexting habit. 6 women who he met online will go on to testify about explicit messages and pictures they exchanged with Harris through the apps Whisper and Kick, one of whom was 16 years old at the time. Some of those women will also testify that they had sexual intercourse with Harris. This is in addition to a prostitute whose services Harris solicited. In some of his messages, Harris admitted he was married and expressed a cavalier attitude toward his infidelity, stating that it did not affect his conscience. In one exchange with an 18-year-old named Janie Meadows, Harris stated that he would leave his wife for her if it wasn't for his son. Harris had been engaging in sexting not only throughout the day on June 18th, but even at 9:15 a.m. while inside the Chick-fil-A with Cooper.
Bro, this dude is like how is he capable of this shit, dude? Stop saying Chad, she's 16. That girl wasn't 16. Shut the fuck up.
I'm going to ask you a question. When can I talk to my wife?
Bro, this dude got fucking busy, dude. What the fuck?
We are trying to get in touch with her right now. I got detectives out there meeting with her.
Do you know where she is?
Me? No, and once again, I won't lie to you.
Right.
Okay? I believe they're meeting her at your house.
Okay.
Which of course is always the better place. Just that you're not in some strange place or something.
I just don't know what to do, man.
How's your relationship with her?
Fantastic. We have a really good relationship. Okay, just like any normal relationship. We've been married for we've been married for 8 years. Had our ups and downs like everybody else, but I think we have a pretty strong relationship.
I mean, I guess for Georgia, like, he's a catch. I don't know. Like, I don't understand it, but like, I guess Georgia, like, maybe that's the, you know what I mean? He's like a Georgia 8, dude. Like, what the fuck? I mean, dude, he had Dude, he literally was sexting like 6 women. Like, how does that happen? Like, you know he doesn't have a good personality.
We're about to find out if that's true or not.
Is Cooper your first child?
Cooper is our first and only child.
You're literally a Volcel, Hassan. I am not a Volcel. Okay, I'm full incel now. It's involuntary now. Okay.
How do you put him in that car seat?
What do you mean?
Like facing forward, facing back?
It's a rear-facing car seat.
Okay.
The type of car seat Harris used and the way it was set up is arguably the cornerstone piece of this case, in terms of why authorities were so slow from the outset to believe this was just one of the dozens of hot car deaths that happen as the result of a tragic accident every year. Up until now, when you've been imagining Cooper being left in the back seat, perhaps you've painted a setup in your mind that looks something like this. Or maybe this. Cooper's seat, however, was...
Wait, hold on. Uh-oh, I'm worried about this. 1 second. Are they gonna fucking show it? 1 second, chat. I gotta check. Probably not, but no, they don't show anything.
And from the front of the car, it looks like... Or maybe this. Cooper's seat, however, was set up like this. And from the front of the car, it looks like this. Cooper's head would have been situated mere inches to the right of Harris as he drove from the Chick-fil-A to his work on a route that included a relatively tricky U-turn, as well as a right turn into work. The intersection at which Harris needed to make a left was only 2 to 3 minutes from the Chick-fil-A, where he had strapped the fully awake Cooper in and given him a kiss on the cheek. At one point in the parking lot at Treehouse, his car needed to back up, presumably prompting Harris to turn his head.
I like that it said not illegal at the time. Good, I was concerned that he was doing an improper U-turn with a child in the back seat. Honestly, that was... I mean, how dare he put his child in danger like that?
Head or use the rearview mirror, and as stated earlier, he remained in the car for 30 seconds after parking. No doubt the mind can do funny things, but this was all a bridge too far for the investigators.
Can I use the restroom again?
You certainly may.
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. So, during the week, it's just whatever hours, as long as you're there, and then you get weekends off.
As long as I get my job done.
Okay. How long have you had that job?
Time right now, man.
Really?
Yeah, my condolences. 2 years. That was 2 years last week.
Is it true that they actually had a Change.com petition for this?
You guys said you had a good relationship.
Yes.
Okay. How's money?
Money's fine.
Okay.
Student loan.
Okay. Understood.
Student loans and they have, the debt we have is student loans, small credit card which leaves $4,000, which just recently happened. And our cars, everything else, credit outstanding, we got a near perfect credit over 720 each of us. So nothing out of the ordinary, both make decent, substantial salary. So, $6,000 for $4,000, $6,000, we can say it's $4,000 on credit card. Not really worried about it. It's not my fault.
How did the audio just get worse? It's kind of wild that, like, at first I thought like it couldn't get any worse, and I was wrong. Actually, it could, and we got there.
Yeah, something we were going to take care of like as soon as possible, and then just call it in and say, change our horses, we're planning to cruise on my brother. We're excited to take him.
The Harrises had been planning a family cruise. This is a good place to look a little closer at some of Justin Ross Harris's activities throughout the day, and how they play a role in the argument he suffered a genuine memory failure. The memory failure theory works like this. Nearly every morning that Harris dropped Cooper off at daycare followed this pattern. Drop Cooper off, Chick-fil-A drive-thru, work. Just once or twice a month that would change to eat in breakfast at Chick-fil-A, drop Cooper off, work. Because the former pattern accounted for about 90% of Harris's morning routines, he essentially constructed a false memory of having just dropped Cooper off by the time he got to the lights, and so he continued straight to work. This type of memory failure is absolutely a real phenomenon. Similar scenarios have happened with other hot car deaths, where there's been no suspicion the parent was using forgetfulness as a pretext for deliberate murder. In fact, in approximately 46% of instances where a child was forgotten, the caregiver meant to drop them off at a daycare or preschool. Some of the reasons the authorities are dubious of this one have already been explained, such as Harris's physical proximity to Cooper and the 2 to 3 minute window to forget his presence. Another one that will come up as they dig deeper into Harris's communications is potential cues that one might think would prompt Harris to think of Cooper and realize something was amiss. During the day, Harris searched for child passport costs and emailed a travel agent about the cruise arrangements. He also referenced Cooper in personal text messages during the day. And in the afternoon, he sent this text message to his wife Leanna that is particularly remarkable for not having set off any alarm bells.
I'm an absolute loss for everything.
What do you think happened? I'm going to let you just, explain to me how this happened. How do you think this happened?
There are occasions where in the morning after I drop them off, I'll go to Chick-fil-A because it's on the way. And all those times I'll always go to the drive-thru and never go inside by myself. So I'll leave Chick-fil-A, and when I turn out of Chick-fil-A, I'll turn on the telephone, take that U-turn, and I'll go straight to it. And I don't know if my mind just said, that's what you're doing today, so just go to work. So I never leave in the car by myself. And I just watched news reports. There was a news report of a guy who did this, just like me. And now he's an advocate for when you park, you turn around and look at you. And I've been doing that because the worst fear for me is to leave my son in a hot car. And then just recently there was a vet on the internet who, said even if you've got your windows rolled down, and regardless, I'm going to show you how hot it can get in the car, and you think you can just leave your pets in the car and roll your window.
Oh, dude, he is like over explaining this like a motherfucker, dude. Like, that's crazy. He went from crying to being like, I did see a vet recently that, tells you that you're not supposed to leave your kid in a car. Like, what are you researching this shit, dude? Can you change the caption? Yeah, totally. Would you like anything else? I mean, we already have a live captioning service that we're currently using. But on top of that, is there anything that you would like to do? Like, maybe I'll change it to like Comic Sans so you can read it better or something. Like, clearly there is nothing I can do in this situation, okay?
Whatever was that? Yeah, you can't do that. I watched that. That'd be terrible. If my son was in the car, I would hate that.
Oh my god, dude, that's terrible.
This could be read as Harris trying to get ahead of something very unfavourable he knows is in his web history. Here is an abridged version of the video he's referring to. He watched it just 5 days prior on June 13th.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ernie Ward. You know how veterinarians are always telling you never leave your pet in a parked car? It gets really hot. This is a typical summer's day. So I thought I would put myself in a parked car and let's see just how hot it gets. Come on. And I'm now in the car. I've got all 4 windows cracked down about 1 inch. So let's start a timer and let's see exactly how hot it gets in here. The thermometer is reading at right about 94 degrees, 95 degrees. So it's pretty hot in here, but we're just getting started. So let's just kind of sit back and see how it feels in here. Okay.
This guy dies.
I'm at 5 minutes in. It is unbelievably hot in here. We're nearing 100 degrees already, and I can tell you that it is stifling in here. Even with all 4 windows cracked, there's no breeze at all. It is entirely still in here. It's
Dying in a hot car. In parentheses, gone sexual.
It's oppressive. I mean, that's the best word for it. And 10 minutes in, I'll tell you, it is almost unbearable. At this point, the temperature is about 106 degrees. So, I mean, it's just getting to the point now where I can barely stand it. 25 minutes. It's now, oh gosh, what is it? 113 degrees.
Jesus Christ.
It's awful. The only thought that's going through my head right now is I want out of the car. You know, it's just everything in my body is saying, get out.
Oh, this is like a Mr. Beast video, dude. What the fuck? He's just like torturing himself for content. Not dissimilar to what Mr. Beast has done throughout his career.
Get out, get out. I mean, this kills. And it's a lousy way to die. Okay, made it. 30 minutes. 30 minutes in a parked car with the windows cracked. The temperature right now is about 115, 116. Really hot. What I really wanted to set out to do was see how it felt to be left in a parked car if I were a dog.
Okay, but he didn't die, so he made a terrible fucking video because, like, you know, so what's up?
Dog. And I know what's going on. I'm in control of the situation. What I can't imagine is how helpless and frightening it would be for a dog to be left in a car, not knowing when you're going to come, and slowly but surely having the energy and the life just burnt out of them by this heat.
When I was working for Tulsa Police, we had an officer, and he was in the car for 10 minutes.
Okay, dogs can't fucking sweat, so they have no sweat glands. And they have all that fur. That's why they die, by the way.
The he exhaustion immediately. I was at the windows up, black.
They sweat through their mouths, like, or they regulate temperature through their mouths.
So I'm aware. I just can't believe. Go ahead. Okay.
Where's the car seat in your car? I haven't seen the car.
It's in the middle.
It's in the middle.
It's in the middle.
What do you even take to work with you?
My bag.
What kind of bag is it?
It's just a over the shoulder top bag.
Where do you keep that in the car?
I put it in the front seat next to me. So I guess I should not put in the back seat every time.
Was that in the front seat today?
Yeah,
You took it into work with you?
I did.
All right. Charge your cell phone now.
It's fine.
Okay. What's the code? There's a code on it.
I think it's my anniversary.
Okay.
052706. 0526.
It's 500.
Yeah, it's 052706. I have no work email on my phone. I require
Okay. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to talk to your wife. I'm going to have you have the seat back here in the cell. Okay.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm going to put you in the cell back here. Okay. Then you're in the seat back there.
This is like the equivalent of trying to watch porn through like the censor paywall when I was a kid in Turkey. Okay? But like in YouTube form, where I'm just trying to discern what the fuck he's saying through the 4P. There's like scrambled porn. And you like get real up close to the TV.
Yeah. Go ahead. You're not free to leave. Okay. And from everything I'm seeing, you're going to be charged. Okay.
Okay.
Right now, cruelty to child.
Okay. I'm not good information.
Okay. That's so chill, dude. He's like, okay, oh, cruelty to the child. Chill. Yeah, whatever, dude. Sick.
It's information based off that your son was in the hot car all day long.
Okay.
Okay. And that's what we're supposed to be getting, and it is an investigation. Okay. So, I got a lot of other stuff I need to look at. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you have a seat here. I'm going to talk to your wife, and then I'll make my final determination. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
Before I do that, I do have to use the restroom.
There's a restroom back there.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Ross, anything you want to add?
It was completely unintentional.
Okay.
I have no history of child abuse. I have no history of domestic violence. I have no criminal history. I have no record whatsoever. I've worked in a law enforcement environment.
Do you understand our concerns?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I know I'm a great father. And I have multiple people that would back that up. From daycare to my wife to...
Ross, we're not here to judge you.
I know. I
got to look at,
I understand that there's an incident that happens, right? You're going to ask me questions on which I have invoked my right to answer. There are certain criminal statutes that you have to look at, and if you think that one of them meets the qualifications, that's your decision. I'd like to say I highly disagree. It's absolute accident.
There's accidental, and I believe that it's happening. But to leave the child in the car all day.
The coughing in the background is literally from someone in the courtroom. Because this was shown in its entirety in the courtroom. And someone coughed so hard in the courtroom that this recording showed up. Or showed up in the recording.
On purpose, though. That's what I would look at cruelty.
The argument that Harris is making, that the difference between an action that is cruel and one that is merely negligent comes down to whether or not it was committed intentionally, is of course completely correct. The fact that he is the one making it, however, and is looking at the situation in such an analytical manner in order to mitigate his culpability, mere hours after he claims discovering he essentially burned his son to death, is likely coming across as obscene to the jurors. Morality aside, it should serve as another reminder that it is always better to have an attorney make these arguments for you. You can only talk yourself into trouble, never out of it.
And, and cruelty too, and it doesn't have to be on purpose.
To me, cruelty is
your action,
like my child.
Well, actions that you took today, led up to the death of your child.
Absolutely.
Okay?
But at the same token, it's not like I left that Chick-fil-A and said...
We're almost done with the shitty audio portion of this, and it's going into the court, luckily.
No, he's going to be fine in the car. I would never do that. I'd never do that.
No, and that's not what we're saying. What I'm saying is by your actions today,
That's what cruelty sounds like.
and I'm trying to explain to you, by your actions, the actions that you took by not taking him to daycare, by leaving him in the car,
Correct.
caused his death.
I disagree slightly.
Okay.
But I mean, that's...
No, why do you disagree?
I'd just rather not talk anymore. If I'm going to be charged, I would like to have some kind of representation.
Okay, and that is definitely your right. And we're going to end it. It is 7:31, and we'll end right here. Cool.
So I'm going to talk to my wife.
Talk to me in a little bit. I don't know yet. I need to talk to her first.
Harris will be allowed to talk to his wife, and that conversation will also be filmed in the interrogation room. Her conduct will arguably be even more bizarre than his. And oddly enough, you might want to consider chalking that up as a point in the defense column. The behavior you're about to see from Leanna Harris initially increased investigators' suspicions that she...
Oh no. Bro, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Just get an abortion, dude. What the fuck?
He may have been in some way complicit in planning Cooper's death. After closely scrutinizing her though, it became apparent that that was a completely infeasible scenario. You can still find suspicion of Leanna Harris alive and well in online comment sections, but there really is no direct or circumstantial evidence that she would ever have any reason to want Cooper dead, and no one involved with the investigation contends it's a real possibility. That being the case, what you're about to see goes to show that sometimes strange behaviour really is evidence of nothing but strange behaviour.
Abortion is still murder, though? Are you brain dead? What? No, it's not. What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm just gonna ban this person, I think. Very strange person. Bro, this guy cries a lot. Like, you know, not to be toxically masculine, but like, kind of wild how much he cries.
He looked so peaceful. He wasn't like crazy looking. He looked. So I got out of the car. I got out of the car and I grabbed him and I pulled him out. And I tried to do CPR on him. And I knew he was coming. I was in my life.
Oh, wow. Oh, no, dude. You knew your life was over. That's crazy. Why the fuck is he so chilled? That's so weird. Like, what do you want to murder him? Like, wouldn't you want to fucking murder him at this point? Like, he murdered your son.
Not over, baby. Not over. They're gonna charge me with cruelty, child cruelty. That's why they put me back there in a cell. I took my sheets and took my belt. And I told them, I was like, it's not like I did this on purpose. I said, I got a million people that know that I love that boy in my life. Do we need to get you home?
I'm sorry, boys. She's failing the vibe check right now. I know. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to throw her in jail as well. I know that she's a victim here, but it is what it is, okay? That's just how it works.
Yeah. I said, it's not like I went to the grocery store. I said, oh, she's gonna be fine. I'm just gonna go in for 30 minutes. Did you say too much?
At the time, that was a big red flag. Leanna Harris would later clarify her meaning. Ross Harris was known to habitually embellish and overtalk, and Leanna Harris was so disbelieving of the idea that someone could see her husband as having deliberately murdered Cooper that she wondered if he might have made certain exaggerations that had got him in trouble. Given responding officers perceived his wailing as putting on a show, her theory actually has some merit to it.
Bro, the amount of like him just crying about his circumstance rather than their child and her not recognizing this and just like even for a brief moment being like, yo, you killed our kid like on accident, but like you still did that. Kind of weird, dude. Okay, this is literally the fucking most like damning shit I've seen so far. In the 43 minutes that we were watching this video, These last 3 minutes have been precisely the most damning, most compelling piece of evidence that this piece of shit 1000% does not give a single fuck about his child that he murdered. He is 1000% more upset about him going to jail than the life that he just took. Whether it was on accident or not, he 100% should have grief over the actions. Like, he should be talking about the kid. And he doesn't even care. He's like, not even thinking about like my life is over, but like the prison cot that I'm going to be sleeping in. Like, what the fuck? He's like visualizing his future, dude. That's crazy to me.
And just, all I think about is like, if I get convicted, I go to jail. Like,
We're not going to think about that right now.
what is, like,
I don't know.
what do I do? It's so peaceful. Mouth was closed. Eyes were closed. And he wasn't like he was. He did not look bad. I was trying, I was telling her, I was praying he was going to look different. That's the worst thing was, before you think about all your stuff.
Can I ask you a weird question?
Yeah.
Do you think we'll have more kids?
Yeah, absolutely. I won't have more kids. I don't.
Okay, dude. Come on, chatters. Tell me that's not a fucking vibe check failure, dude. That's a critical vibe check failure. I mean, she might be like processing it very weirdly. But god damn, dude, that is so fucking... Dude, what the fuck? Oh my god. Oh my god, what is happening, dude? Oh my god, dude, what the fuck? That's a critical error, dude. She is being so sus.
Just because we lost one child means we can't have any more kids.
The footage from this day
Oh my god, he said just because we lost one child. What the fuck? Yo, I'm so the only thing that could get worse is if she's like, I'm so horny right now. Come on.
really is unrelentingly abnormal.
Let's get a fucking head start on this second baby right now.
Directly after losing a pet, it's very common for people to refrain from getting another for a period of time, because to do so immediately will instill them with a sense of guilt for acting as if their previous companion was as easily replaceable as a broken accessory. On the same day as they've lost their first and only child, the Harrises are already discussing making another one. Given there truly is no reason to believe Leanna Harris is culpable, it would be cruel to push that point too hard. You really are witnessing a mother in a severe state of shock, but it's easy to see why detectives didn't immediately move past her. And what of Justin Ross Harris? It certainly doesn't look good, and all of the unfavourable details we've covered serve to turn the tide of public opinion dramatically against him, after an initial burst of sympathy when only the nature of Cooper's death was known. In light of all you've seen so far, you may be thinking there were absolutely no indicators to support his innocence. But as it happens, there were plenty. Here are just a few. Although he certainly expressed resentment of his marriage, all the more loathsome given his turning to his constantly scorned wife for solace, he never conveyed anything but deep affection for his son, in his real or online life. Attempts were made to portray otherwise, but they were all weak in context. He visited the subreddit Child Free, for instance, but this was after being sent a link by a
Fucking... Okay, dude. I can smell the Redditor energy off of him, bro. It was just like, I think we should just throw everyone that's on Reddit in jail. Like, yes, I'm aware that that includes me as well, but I'm willing to be a prisoner for the better, for public good. You know what I mean? What the fuck is child free? 1.2 million members on this subreddit? They're explaining he got linked to it. He didn't go on it
a
himself.
friend, and he expressed disapproval. By all accounts, he hated being married, but loved being a dad. That will be illustrated all the more dramatically by his soon-to-be ex-wife's testimony. The consoling attitude of Leanna Harris that you saw in the interrogation room was not long for this world once the extent of her husband's sex addiction came to light. She divorced Harris while he sat in jail awaiting trial and reverted to her maiden name. But all the same, Leanna Taylor took the stand as the defence's star witness. Her position was clear. Harris had ruined her life, she never wanted anything to do with him again, and she could absolutely not believe he would ever purposefully do anything.
There's this subreddit for everything, dude, including apparently
Group transgender pride
a
trans woman
subreddit
fan
for
card.
shaming people for having children. Like, I often joke about how, like, babies are stupid. Lol, like, you know, they just kind of suck. They can't really have, like, a fun conversation with a baby, you know what I mean? It's like a long period until, like, a baby is, like, eligible for being chill. But that's just jokes, you know what I'm saying? What the fuck is wrong with these people? r/child free is such a bad place that an actual child murderer said it wasn't for him.
To harm Cooper. Given his web and sexting history looked so damning, you would expect him to have made some attempt at clearing all of that data from his phone and computers. And as he was an IT professional, he would have been more capable of it than most. As much as his activities during the day might seem like cues that should have set off alarm bells in Harris's mind, they also present problems for the prosecution. Why would Harris search for child passport costs if he had no intention of paying for one? It could be that he was deliberately conducting himself as if all was normal, so he could make that exact argument if he was investigated. But that raises the issue of his phone and web history again. Either he was anticipating scrutiny or he wasn't. There was absolutely no benefit to Harris returning to his car during the day if he wanted to help bolster the notion he had forgotten Cooper all that time. It would have been far more advantageous to simply take the light bulbs back to his desk and then take them to the car at the end of his shift when he was gearing up for the big reveal. In a similar vein, why leave the treehouse parking lot at all? Every extra second Harris is in the car with Cooper takes away from the believability that he could have been totally unaware of his son's presence. The prosecution argued he drove to the Acres Mill parking lot to make more of a scene. That doesn't make any sense. There was plenty of foot traffic coming and going from the treehouse office. Putting on a frantic performance right there and then would have been of no disadvantage to selling his story. Harris's attorney, Maddox Kilgore, pushed on all of this and much more at trial, which is available in its entirety online.
Child free. Why are we charged pet fees but what the fuck? That was weird. Did I just get... Am I fucking hacked or what? What the fuck was that? Why are we charged pet fees, but couples with kids aren't charged children fees? I just moved to a new apartment, and upstairs neighbors are the spawn of Satan. They have what looks to be around a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. They let him scream, jump, yell, and do whatever they want, no matter what it is. I'm a figure skater training for the European Championships and World Championships, which means many early mornings waking up at 4 to go train. I'm not sleeping until 1 or 2 in the morning because if these kids, I have 2 cats and pay a fortune for them to not do damage besides the occasional scratches on the carpet. What the dude, Redditors literally need to go to jail. I think half of the posts on the website on like most subreddits is just a self-report that you're just a criminal who hasn't done crimes yet. Okay? Like half the time I read a post on Reddit, I'm like, that's written by someone who luckily has not acted on their urges yet. Okay? You know what I mean? Like written by an absolute psycho, dude. Like instead of being like kind of fucked up that, you know, we have to pay landlords this like ridiculous fee for our animals or whatever. Yeah, she's a pre-criminal. Instead of getting upset at the landlord, getting upset at the person who has bred and had children. What the fuck? And then mentioning that anger in the child-free subreddit.
Line. It's a great example of both the state and the defense delivering superb presentations.
Unlike a lot of cases, in this case, we know what was in the defendant's mind that morning. Legally, you're going to hear that motive does not have to be proven in a criminal case. Now, we know that people commit horrible acts against children for no good reason. Unfortunately, it's just a fact of the world we live in. But in this case, he saw this post that morning. I hate being married with kids. The novelty has worn off, and I have nothing to show for it.
Damn, this motherfucker went to Kinko's for this shit, dude. Look at him. He's really doing it. You know, he's doing a good service here.
Now they're going to say, oh, he saw a lot of posts. But think about it. When you know the timing in this case, within that 45 minutes of all the whisper posts in all the world, what did he seek out to not only view, but respond to commiserate with, while he is on the way to Chick-fil-A and while he's sitting there with this son, who to everybody else he portrays, I love him, I'm a great father, things like that. Which one side of him? He probably did. But guess what? That took a back seat. Because he responded and showed us exactly what his intent was and what was in his mind. He told this person he couldn't live his other life the way he wanted. His wife complained about him going out. He wanted to go out all the time, go out with other people. And most importantly, 10 minutes before he killed Cooper, he actually said that he needed an escape. Implied malice. Now, what is that? It's when no considerable provocation appears and when all of the circumstances of the killing show an abandoned and malignant heart. This killer's heart abandoned this child long before he died. This defendant's heart abandoned this child when he left him to die a terrible death in that car. When he came back to check the scene at lunch, maybe even to make a discovery in front of his friends there until they pulled off too quickly. Quite possibly discovering, as we've heard from the evidence, that Cooper could have been alive in that car. And abandoning him yet again. And sat there malignantly while that child cooked in that car. That, ladies and gentlemen, in this case, is the epitome of an abandoned and malignant heart.
I mean, pretty open and shut, dude. You don't get him like this usually. Why am I talking like a seasoned detective? You know, I've done a lot of cases. Watched a lot of cases on YouTube after, you know, the conviction is out. And you don't often have someone literally just like straight up report on the timeline that they are trying to do a murder or close to it.
I know a lot of people talk about premeditation. Is there premeditation? Remember this at all times. There is no premeditation at all. We don't have to prove that he woke up that morning and at 7:55 decided, you know what, I'm going to murder my child. Unfortunately, most cases like this are a crime of opportunity. When it presents itself, and when your mind gets in that point, you do it. A lot of people give examples of how quick malice can be formed. And they snap, because it's that quick. Malice can be formed in an instant, and the judge is going to tell you that. As soon as the defendant decided and formed that in his mind and said, you know what, I'm shutting the door on this child, that's malice. There's no premeditation required. Although the evidence screams that he'd been thinking about this for quite some time. Finally, is that how the crime scene looked? On June 18, 2014? Is that photo accurate? The car seat that the defendant put him in at Chick-fil-A, kissed him, navigated changing lanes on the way to that parking lot. Is that the car seat?
You haven't been paying attention, but is there any evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that he did intentionally kill a child beyond he had bad vibes? He was unhappy in his marriage. He was unhappy with his children or with his child. He literally looked behind multiple times in the ride over to recognize that his child was in the car. They like show that there was like 3 left turns. And lastly, that he came back.
What a wild ride. Thanks for welcoming me.
He watched the tutorial on fucking, how to do that, but
has spooked. Thanks for everything.
Lastly, he literally came back at the lunch break. His friends drove him to Publix. He came back. He went to Home Depot. He got like a light bulb, and he literally threw the light bulb into his car without looking into his car when his fucking dead child was in the back seat at that point.
And how it looked when he passed the parking.
But most importantly, he's a Redditor. Like, he just like routinely goes on Reddit.
Spot on the right. Is this the same parking seat, the same car seat as when he backed up? Backed up like this and pulled straight. Is that the same car seat that was in there? And how it looked when he was in there for 30 seconds on June 18, 2014? Is that how the car seat looked when that child left Chick-fil-A wide awake, being excited for school? Is that the same car seat that the defendant had to reach by to pick up his work bag to go into work that morning, that we saw him walk in, that he admitted he got from his passenger seat? Is that the same car seat that he got back into that afternoon?
He did it.
And within 3 seconds sped off and drove for some time with that child there, having been baking all day in that car, making those turns all the way there on a route that he shouldn't have taken? Ladies and gentlemen, it all comes back to this. That's how that car seat looked on June 18th. The defendant's guilty of all counts. Thank you.
The state has not disproven that this was an accident. It is their burden to do so. And there's a reason why they can't disprove beyond a reasonable doubt that it was an accident, and that's because it was. Ross is charged with murder in 3 different ways, okay? And what you really need to understand is this: they're all the same. They are all the same. We don't have...
Man, Ted Cruz wishes he looked this much like a human, bro. You guys are saying he's Ted Cruz, but like, this fucking dude, he looks a lot more human than Ted Cruz. And I say this as I know that he's a defense attorney, okay?
Murder in Georgia. It's not first degree or second degree or third. Murder is murder is murder. Whether he's convicted of count 1, 2, or 3, if he's convicted of any count, they're all the same in Georgia. State wants to suggest that Ross wanted to escape from Cooper so bad that he would destroy the treasure of his life. I submit to you this.
YouTube fam.
To do what they're suggesting that he did, knowingly and intentionally, to do that, there's got to be some pretty serious hatred. I don't mean just dislike. I mean, there's got to be some real serious ill will or hatred toward that little boy. The kind that would permeate your life and pour out of your pores, that everybody around you would see and hear and know and realize and pick up on, but not one witness has indicated anything like that. I love my son and all, but we both need escapes. Sounds exactly like Ross.
How would you know?
But what he doesn't say is what the state suggests.
You don't know what he sounds like. You've been his defense attorney for like however long now. Like, sounds exactly like Ross. It's crazy.
That he's saying. I love my son and all, but I'm about to murder him in the next 15 minutes.
Oh, wow. This is called, he didn't literally say it, defense, which is, of course, most famously applied by racists caping for other racists. The N-word defense, as I like to call it, where if the person has not said the N-word, that means they are not racist. This is what racist people will use as a defense. He didn't literally say it out loud, so that must mean he's not guilty. Another common term for it is the Shapiro technique. Okay. Yeah, Steve Crowder applied it earlier today. It's a very chill technique.
That's essentially what the state is telling you that says. Yeah, not bad with the response. I love my son and all, but I'm about to murder him in the next 15.
Can you explain the use of the N-word by black people when other black people have said don't use that word? What? What? I don't know what that is.
15 minutes. Of course, he doesn't say that. And it doesn't suggest that either. Go ahead. Play the video.
Bro, this is so fucked.
You do it. Go.
Dude, what the fuck are they doing, bro? I love that the fucking defense here basically is like, he could not have murdered his child because, like, look, he's having fun with him at this other random point in time. What an insane defense. Now you know what Cooper's mom has known along. It was an accident. Oh my God. Oh damn, that's bad.
Carlos. We trust you. From 9 to 9:20 a.m. approximately, the defendant is in Chick-fil-A eating with Cooper. During that time, he responds to a message from Magnolia Blonde, a woman he'd been carrying on a conversation with earlier, sexual in nature. And at 9:15 a.m.,
He says, I love my son and all, but we both need escapes. That's the time. Undisputed, the times, 9:20:30 a.m. The defendant and Cooper walk out of Chick-fil-A. And these are all times confirmed. Confirmed that these were accurate. Confirmed by Greg Sanders at Home Depot. Confirmed by R.B. Smith with Cobb County Police, checking the times of the phones, checking the times of the receipts, checking the times of the videos at Chick-fil-A, and accounting for any difference in time. He continues the conversation. Agreed, hug, we both need that, at 9:24:28 while still in the car with Cooper. 9:24:42 a.m., he first appears on one of the treehouse parking lot camera videos coming in the side area. 9:25:38, car comes to a stop, and at 9:26:15, the defendant shuts the door on Cooper. And you saw all that time in there he was sitting. Over 30 seconds in the car with that child. And you remember the defense showed you that one video where he parked kind of up close and he's in the car for a while? Y'all remember seeing how he was in there moving around, going to get this, going to get that? There ain't no way he missed that child.
Top of the hour.
You've heard a lot.
That's the worst part about it. That's actually the worst. That's the most damning piece of evidence in my mind. Is that like he went back to the fucking car and didn't notice that his son was in the back seat? Like, that's crazy, dude. That's fucking bullshit.
About excuses for this defendant, which have been turned away at every stop. But who's going to speak for Cooper? Who speaks for Cooper? The witnesses and the officers at that scene who carried that burden of what they saw that day? Who cared more about that child on June 18th than this defendant? Defendant who was concerned and crying finally when he was worried about the metal toilet he's going to have to use the bathroom in and the uncomfortable cot. Woe is me. The child was dead.
Almost as crazy as this top of the hour ad break.
The evidence speaks for Cooper.
True.
And they can't bring him back. But what can be done is justice. And you as a jury have the opportunity to do that justice. Now there's a Latin phrase that hangs over the Supreme Court. And I'm not going to say I know Latin, I can speak Latin for the darn, but I do know what it says. And it translates to this. Let justice be done, though the skies may fall. In this case, justice is justice for Cooper in that call. Justice in this case is a verdict of guilty. Justice in this case is holding this defendant responsible. Thank you.
The verdict is in proper form to be received by the court. At this time, I'm going to ask the clerk to publish the verdict. Thank you, Mr. Phillips.
In the Superior Court, Cobb County, State of Georgia versus Dustin Ross Harris, defendant, case number 14.
Honestly, this is probably the worst audio I've ever experienced on a fucking YouTube video. Like, true crime, not true crime. Like, it was just bad all across the board. It was bad on every part of the video.
9-3-1-2-4, verdict form. We, the jury, find as follows: count 1, malice murder. As to count 1, we find the defendant guilty. This 14th day of November.
I high-key don't think this guy is guilty. I don't think he can be proven beyond a reasonable doubt in this situation. That's nuts, dude. That's
7
nuts.
months foggers.
The moment that he walks back into his fucking car and sees the baby, he literally knows it's top of the hour. Every hour is time for a 60-second ad break. Okay, and if you'd like to no longer see the ads, all you need to do is subscribe. I'm so delirious. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Some things are sacred, and I fucking defiled that. Okay. That one was poor taste. That one was in poor taste, for sure. Okay? If you'd like to no longer see the ads, I'm not even going to do it. Here's the ad break. I don't care. Fuck.